Anihu, ego, ego eimi, ego, ego eimi, I am he, I am he, Ani, Anihu, Ani, Anihu. Thus, at the Feast of Tabernacles, along with the image of water and light, the words Ani, Anihu, ego, ego eimi, I am he, were reverberating in the minds and hearts of the worshippers, and there was this growing expectation that God was really going to show up. Now we're ready to hear Jesus speak for himself. John tells us that after Jesus made the claim, I am the light of the world, the religious authorities engaged him in an intense debate. Jesus says that he will soon go away, that they will search for him, they will not be able to find him, and that they will die in their sins. They discuss what this must mean. And then Jesus says, John 8:23, you are from below, I am from above, you are from the world, I am not from this world. That's an amazing thing to say in and of itself. And then Jesus says, listen, John 8:24, I told you that you will die in your sins. You will die in your sins unless you believe that I am he. Did you hear him? I, he, the authorities hear loud and clear. The carpenter has just echoed those sacred pronouns of God's self-revelatory declaration, and he has uttered them in reference to himself. That's why they go on to say to him, who are you? They ask it in white-hot anger. Who are you, Jesus? Come on, man. You've got to finish the sentence. You can't leave it as I, he. More debate ensues. Then Jesus says, listen, John 8:28, when you have lifted up the Son of Man was Jesus' favorite way of referring to himself. Lifted up means brought up onto the cross. When you have lifted up the Son of Man, then you will know that I am he. Ego eimi. Anihu, the very words by which Yahweh the Almighty, Yahweh the one and only God, chooses to make himself known to Israel. And the man from Galilee, the son of Mary, dares to say, unless you believe that I am he, you will die in your sins. When you have lifted me up on the cross, then you will know that I am he. The debate intensifies. Jesus is even accused of being possessed by a demon. Toward the end of the argument, Jesus says, your ancestor Abraham rejoiced to see my day. He saw it and he was glad. And the authorities, probably a little bit cynically, or the chuckle, say to him, you're not yet 50 years old and you've seen Abraham? Jesus then drives home the magnitude of his Feast of Tabernacles claim. Listen, John 8:58. Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. Ego eimi, Anihu. Not just before Abraham was, I was. But before Abraham was, I am. And John tells us that immediately the authorities pick up stones to throw at Jesus. Why? Why throw stones at Jesus? Why throw stones at the gentle Galilean? Why throw stones at the man who heals? Why throw stones at the man who loves in a way that no one ever has? They had to. Because right in the middle of the feast, which celebrates the living God dwelling among his people, Jesus of Nazareth says, I am he. Now once I saw this, my eyes and ears were open to the other places where Jesus says this. Let me just give you a couple of examples, also from the Gospel of John. In the 4th chapter of John, Jesus is talking with a Samaritan woman by the well. They're discussing worship. The woman wants to know, where should she worship? On this mountain in Samaria or in Jerusalem? Jesus tells her that the place is not the point. He says, an hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. The woman likes what she's hearing, but she's not so sure about Jesus. So she says, I'm going to wait until Messiah comes. And Messiah will tell us the truth. Then Jesus says, listen, John 4:26, I am he. Ego eimi. the one you were speaking to. Now, is Jesus simply saying to the woman, like, I'm the Messiah? No. I think he's saying, woman, you need not go anywhere. I'm he, the very God you seek to worship. In the 18th chapter of John, we find those little pronouns again. This time in a very solemn scene in the Garden of Gethsemane. Judas the betrayer has come with the Roman battalion and with the officers of the temple. John says, listen, John 18:4, Jesus therefore, knowing all things that were coming upon him, went forth and said to them, whom do you seek? They answered, Jesus the Nazarene. He said to them, I am he. Ego eimi ani hu. Now again, is Jesus simply saying, you found him, I'm the Nazarene? No. And John makes this abundantly clear in the next verse, John 18:6. When therefore Jesus said to them, I am he, they drew back and they fell to the ground. They drew back and fell to the ground. Why? Why draw back? Why draw back from this man they'd come to arrest? Were they taken by his courage? Were they taken by his moral excellence? Or were they, as Jews, so prone to genuflex when they heard the pronouns I am he that they weren't thinking and went to the ground when Jesus used those words? Here, I just simply must read a paragraph from C.S. Lewis, the great British Oxford scholar. It comes from the essay, What Are We to Make of Jesus Christ? Listen to this. Lewis writes, if you had gone to Buddha and asked him, are you the son of Brahma? He would have said, my son, you are still in the veil of illusion. If you'd gone to Socrates and asked, are you Zeus? He would have laughed at you. Had you gone to Muhammad and asked, are you Allah? He first would have rent his clothes and then cut off your head. If you'd gone to Confucius and said, are you heaven? I think he would have probably replied, remarks which are not in accordance with nature are in bad taste. But when the temple authorities went to Jesus of Nazareth at the Feast of Tabernacles in October of 32 AD and said to him, who are you? He said, unless you believe that I am he, you will die in your sins. When you lift up the Son of Man, then you will know that I am he. Before Abraham was, I am. The implications of this are startling and life-changing. Let me just suggest three. First, in light of Jesus' tabernacle claim, we now understand why he can say the other things he says. If he is I am he, the great I am, then of course he can say things like, I'm the bread of life, I'm the resurrection and the life, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Of course he can claim, if anyone is thirsty, come to me and drink. Of course he can claim, I'm the light of the world. Of course he can claim, I'm the vine, you are the branches, you cannot make it without me. Of course he can claim that he is that without which we simply cannot live. This man is the ground of our very being. Second, in light of Jesus' tabernacle claim, we can now appreciate why the rest of the New Testament puts him at center stage. Why the rest of the New Testament makes him the center of everything. And we can understand why it is so critical that we decide what we are going to do with Jesus. Given who he thinks he is, he has the right to walk into anyone's life, to interfere in anyone's life, and command us saying, come to me, follow